Hey guys, Hellhound here. Well, I just went to see Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, and I wanted to share some of my thoughts about it. Now, this isn't going to be a review, not like a full length movie review like I usually do. This is just my initial thoughts, first impressions type of thing. I'm not going to reveal any spoilers, maybe some minor ones at the very end of this video. I haven't decided yet. I'll see how it goes. Because yeah, to do really an in-depth analysis, like a full-on review, I probably would have to reveal some spoilers. There's a lot of twists and turns, like even in the middle of the movie, that I don't want to give away any important plot points, because it should all just be. That's part of the excitement. It should always be like a huge surprise. I mean, it's like 32 years after Return of the Jedi. I'm not gonna say, I mean, not the last Star Wars movie that was made, obviously, but in continuity-wise, we had never saw anything after Return of the Jedi. A lot of extended universe, books, comics, video games, but never a full-length live-action movie. Well, what can I say? What did I think about it? Well, I was blown away. This movie rocked my world. I mean, to say I was impressed would be an understatement. I absolutely loved it. It was so much fun. Oh my gosh. I tried to see it with the same group of friends that I saw Krampus, but turns out they were all busy, like earlier in the day. Like they would have been free later on, but I wanted to go see the movie early. Because I'd heard so many things about it. Like, it was all over Facebook. It's all over everywhere. I mean, the hype is just huge. I mean, come on, it's Star Wars. I mean, that was pretty much expected. And for one thing, I didn't want anything ruined for me. And for another thing, just everybody talking about it, I was like, oh my god, I gotta see it. So I was like, guys, I'm sorry, I can't wait. I gotta go see it now. I ended up seeing it by myself. But it was in a theater full of people. So, I did get the full theater experience, all the oohs and ahs and, the laughter and everything. I kind of like that, to hear everybody's reaction, to different things. And so, yeah, I was very pleased. Oh my gosh. I mean, where do I begin? Without revealing any, spoilers or important plot points, well, it felt more like a real Star Wars movie than the prequels. I remember in 1999 when I saw the trailer for The Phantom Menace, Episode 1, I was like, what is this? It just seemed like some kiddie fantasy movie, that happened to take place in space, or another planet, science fiction type vehicles and stuff, or whatever. I was like, what is this? And one of my friends said, oh, there's a new Star Wars. I was like, this is Star Wars? Doesn't look like it. I did know that Star Wars movies are coming out, but the prequels to me just didn't feel like Star Wars movies. Just feel like just CGI-ridden, really poor dialogue, terrible romantic love story, especially in Attack of the Clones. They just didn't feel like Star Wars films to me. This felt like a video game, like a video game with like extended cutscenes. But I'm not gonna. I mean, I actually enjoyed them more than most people do. I don't hate the prequels. I don't bash them like most Star Wars fans do. However, this one definitely did feel like a real Star Wars installment. It felt like, much more so than the prequels. It's weird because George Lucas wrote and directed all of those. And I have to say, if he was he was basically not involved at all in Episode 7. And if he had been, it might not have been as good. I'm actually confident in saying that it was probably better without him, which is weird because Star Wars is his baby. It was his brainchild, and we all thank him for it. George Lucas will never be. He created Star Wars, and no one will ever forget that. Star Wars is always his thing. So a lot of people were disappointed that he wasn't involved, calling it, just fan fiction, yada yada. But it felt like an authentic Star Wars movie. As I just said, way more than the prequels. But I'm not going to talk about the prequels and the other movies. If you want to see my thoughts on that, watch my other show, Dead Little Discussions. We did a Star Wars episode. We talked about the original trilogy. We talked about the prequels. Me and my buddy Spellbinder. So we went in depth on that. So for more on that, go watch that video because I'm just going to talk about Episode 7. They actually dropped the Episode 7 from the title. They're just calling it Star Wars The Force Awakens. I would kind of rather see the Episode 7 with it. I'm not really sure why they made that decision. Maybe like really really young audiences might be turned off by the fact that it's just like a sequel to something. I don't know though. I don't think so, because I think even young kids today still love Star Wars. They all know what it is. Some of the younger generation might have grew up with a Clone Wars TV show or something. Everybody knows Star Wars. It's just huge, and I'm very proud to be part of the hype. It has a fair amount of bashers too. There's a few people on Facebook saying, "Oh, I don't want to see Star Wars." Even my older brother said, "Who wants to not see Star Wars and just come have a beer?" And he said he's more excited about the new Will Ferrell movie. It's like, well, it's not for everybody. I kind of wish the haters wouldn't have to, bash it so much and, bash the fans of it. I mean, it's something we're really passionate about. But anyway, enough about all that. Back to episode 7. I thought the title was kind of silly at first, The Force Awakens, but after seeing the movie, it makes perfect sense. The highlight for me, and probably everybody else who's been, grew up with Star Wars, has been a huge fan their whole life, was seeing the original cast. Mark Hamill is Luke Skywalker, Harrison Ford is Han Solo, Carrie Fisher is Princess Leia, now General Leia, and Kylo Ren with the new villain, he was pretty cool. I mean, he's no Darth Vader, of course, but he followed in his footsteps. That's not a spoiler, by the way. It showed it in the trailer. He was looking on Vader's melted helmet, and saying, "I will continue, what you started. I'll finish your work, yada yada." So that's not a spoiler. Everybody knew that. He's the new villain. He looks a lot like Darth Vader. It's kind of like, and that's I'll get to that in a minute, though. But yeah, the original cast, seeing them was great. Luke, Leia, and Han Solo were all in it in some variation, which I won't get into that too much, because that might spoil it a little bit. But I think everybody knew the original cast was returning. Even Peter Mayhew returned as Chewbacca. Anthony Daniels came back as C-3PO. I think Kenny Baker is listed in the credits as R2-D2 consultant. So, yeah, most of the main cast, no Billy D. Williams, is Lando Calrissian. Maybe he'll show up in episode 8 or 9, though, who knows. And yeah, it definitely left a lot open, a lot of things that, questions that will probably be answered in the future installments. After all, this is the beginning of a new trilogy. They couldn't, reveal too much. And I like the new characters as well. I already mentioned the villain, Kylo Ren. We had, Poe, which he's part of the Resistance. He was really cool. Finn, who was a stormtrooper who turned to the side of good. He felt like it was the right thing to do. He no longer wanted to work for the Empire, or the New Order, or whatever they're calling it now. I guess I already forgot that part. The Sith, the Empire. We all know the bad guys. We all know, the stormtroopers, and Rey, the main female lead, she was really good as well. The new characters are very compelling to watch. I went into this just wanting to see the original cast, the characters I grew up with and loved from the original trilogy. I was so psyched that they were returning, and it definitely delivered. And still left you wanting more as well. But the new characters were great too. I felt like they felt very welcome as part of the Star Wars mythology. It just, it felt like a Star Wars movie. I've already said that plenty of times. I just don't know what more to say without spoiling it too much. But when I first got in the theater, I was so excited. I had my popcorn and my drink. I saw it in 3D too, which was really cool.